Hello, hello. Of course, I thought it did not grab me putting my seat up, but it did. Jupiter, Uranus, surprise, surprise. Hello, everyone. I'm here to talk about the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that's happening in Taurus. It's happening really from... It's conjunct, what we would call conjunct today. It's just not an exact conjunction. Also, though, today there's a perfect sextile to Mars, and over the next couple of days, that sextile will continue to be there. But you know, the exact conjunction is the 20th to the 21st, depending on where you live. Just to put things in perspective, we only get a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in any sign, and it takes a long time to get a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the same sign. So we get one about every 13 to 14 years, depending on the degree it's going to meet at. So, for instance, Jupiter takes a year to go through a sign, but Uranus takes 7 years. So, in June, Jupiter will move on to Gemini, but Uranus won't. And it will not have time to conjunct. Jupiter will be gone, far gone out of Gemini before Uranus gets in there and gets close enough. The last time that Jupiter and Uranus were conjunct in Taurus, and I'm taking my research from Lori Rivers, Awake Space, was in the 40s. So a lot of us weren't alive. I'm sure there's a few people. I mean, my parents are born in the 20s and 30s, so there are people that were born in the 40s that are still around, but a lot of us weren't. So it is a big deal. Also because we are talking about it being in Taurus, that means the entire conjunction, the entire astrological event is being brought to you by Venus. In the collective, this might not look as great. In the collective, it may look a little cattywampus, as we say, or as I say. I don't know if anybody else uses that word but me. I kind of love it. But we're seeing that. We're seeing, you know, Uranus can also represent protest. We see what's happening at the University of Columbia right now. We are going to see a lot of, there's that activist who's putting a whole ship, taking a whole ship over to help and protest about the ongoing events in Palestine. And so we probably will see quite a bit of that this weekend. I think that we have seen the culmination. I have a video on TikTok about this, but Uranus and Taurus collectively, yeah, it's going to be about food stability and housing stability and money stability. We are not going to see paper money completely go away right now. So if that's something you're worried about, don't. But, you know, Jupiter is expansion and Uranus is in surprise, right? So collectively, we've all seen the shrinkage inflation. The other night, I was just out of energy, worked all day and just done. And, you know, I gave in to my youngest request and ordered Domino's, which it's not good for me. But what surprised me, I went with the straight pasta and the little chicken things for Lee and I to split. We were absolutely shocked. First of all, the same deal that used to give you a drink with it, same deal doesn't give you the drink, same amount of money. And then when we got the food, everything was smaller. And I don't mean a little bit. I mean, open the container and go, oh my God, this is less than half of what it used to be, right? That's happening with cake boxes. So we're going to see inflation in more than one way. They're raising prices and giving less. What I want to focus on is that whatever Uranus brings us, especially when it's conjunct Jupiter, is benefic. It's good. And it's Venusian run. So my video that I put on TikTok, I want to say it's like a whole month ago, was that watch what happens when we all start making our own food and we all start growing our own food. I want to say that was maybe 6 weeks ago I did that. I have been making my own butter, making all of my own bread. We haven't bought bread, rolls, making the cookie dough instead of buying the cookie dough that you just throw in the oven, all of that. And so I'm eating a decent amount of bread and I'm having cookies, not a lot. But what has been interesting is my inflammation has gone down. I have lost weight while eating bread. And in that video, I said, watch what happens when we realize even the simplest of foods that we don't think are full of chemicals. Watch when we stop eating them, how we realized possibly it was contributing to us not feeling well. That is going to be the goodness that the disruption of the inflation is going to bring us as a collective, right? Bringing peace, bringing safety to the people of Palestine, that the disruption of the protest, that is the goodness it will bring. So I don't want you to look at the outside world. I don't want you to look at the disruption that's going on. I don't want you to look at the what looks cattywampus on the outside and think, oh my God, what does that mean that's going to happen to me? I don't want you to be focused on how this is going to be a big surprise, that's only disruption, because that's not what it is. Of course, I have all of my ridiculous Virgo rising notes, my Gemini brain Virgo rising notes. So let's first talk about this. Let's break it down so it's easier to understand. And I know it's everywhere on the internet, and a lot of astrologers are doing a beautiful job breaking it down. It's really, really interesting to see how everyone's personal beliefs and lived experience, and with the focus of their practice, or whether they're a really metaphysical run astrologer, whether it's more like ancient astrology, everybody's got a little different take, and that's all okay, because the honest truth is, whenever we have any kind of astrological event, they can all, on a personal level, because your charts are all like little snowflakes, they're all different and individual, it can express a multitude of ways, right? And we are co-conspirating with our charts. We are co-conspirating with the stars. We are co-conspirating with energies. We are co-conspirating with the environmental events that move us, shake us, affect us, love us, right? We are always in a co-creation with our action or lack of action, with our accountability or lack of accountability, right? So when we talk about Uranus and the surprise of Uranus, you think, how can I prepare for a surprise? But if we know what house it's going to happen in, and we know kind of where your other planets are and what it's going to be talking to, we already know it's going to be talking to Mars. So we can maybe get into a bunch of general subjects and ways that you could be prepared for the surprise. And if I was going to give keywords to this event, it's liberation. It's expansion and liberation. Yes, there's surprises, but if we surrender to what we don't expect in the name of expansion and liberation, instead of fight it because it's what we know, we will end up in a far better place. rarely do astrological events ever do anything but try to motivate us towards our best potential. And some of them feel unkind when they happen to us. And some of them, you know, we can have astrological events where we lose a parent. There's no good in that, right? That's just, it's heartbreaking. And sometimes we go back, we can see things. But this is a Venusian run, one benefic event with Jupiter, the great benefic, conjunct Uranus, which disrupts so it can reorganize. I often tell it's not a story, it's a, I want to say a parable, but that's not right either. I often use the analogy as if you were running out of the house and your purse or your briefcase or whatever because you're running around and things are maybe a little chaotic, right? And so you're running around and the strap of your briefcase, the strap of your purse gets caught on something, the doorknob, right? Whenever I'm in a rush, the doorknob can find every pocket on every robe, pair of pants, dress, whatever it is, and yank me back, right? And then I'm dropping whatever's in my hand. But if in this case, we're going to look at a briefcase or a purse, and as you're rushing out the door, it gets caught, everything's everywhere. It's complete disruption. Now it feels just even more chaotic, right? If you were already rushing around because of any chaos, now it feels more chaotic. And what is going to happen is that you're probably going to grab your keys, your phone, your ID, and your wallet, and you're going to leave everything. There's no time because you were already running late, right? And when you get back later that night and you put back that mess, you pick everything up, it is unlikely that you are going to put back the parking stub from 3 months ago. It's unlikely if you stopped wearing a lipstick or stopped using a gym or whatever it is that's in that briefcase or purse, you are going to rearrange. Sometimes you won't even use the same purse. You won't even use the same briefcase, right? Maybe you don't have as much stuff to carry. Maybe, you know, there's a million reasons, but what's going to happen is that disruption, that surprise is going to take us to a moment where we reorganize in a way that suits our life better. That aligns us with our higher potential. When Uranus comes to disrupt, it comes to do so to reorganize. It's actually the great organizer. Even its kind of wonky orbit is really interesting because, you know, Saturn is going around and around with its rings this way. And Uranus is kind of that. I always say Uranus is in my first house in a prominent placement, talking to quite a few of my planets. And it's why I'm quirky. It's why I'm wonky. It's why I fall down a lot. It's why I'm clumsy. It's why, like, my bra strap will just never sit right. I will never be. I have always said my whole life that Uranus in my first house, I would love to be the woman that walks into the party in that, like, perfect dress and gets everyone's attention. But I am inevitably always the woman who walks into the party and knocks the hors d'oeuvre tray over with my hips and gets everyone's attention, but just not for graceful reasons. It's usually for comedic relief. It's usually for some kind of wonkiness, clumsiness, you know, and I've adapted and embraced it. And that is the thing. When Uranus comes to play in our chart, the more you can adapt to it, the more you can surrender to it, the juicier the rewards will be. And I promise you that. So when the surprise comes, we can try to prepare, right? And I'm going to go over a list through all the houses. Having an open mind, being ready to surrender, and, you know, that Mars is sextiling. So, like, where we're going to take action in possibly a new kind of action. And possibly a little bit of a covert action. It's in Pisces. It's a gentle action. So, but in a new way, right? And this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction also has great potential for the collective to bring a lot of people to their gifts, to the actual practice and use of their gifts, to feel that they are accessible to their gifts, because we all have them. You all have some kind of clear ability. You already know that you have intuition. Listen, Gavin de Becker is considered one of the leading experts on security. He has done security for the White House. He's written many books. He's been on many shows. And one of the things that struck me, and I must have been in my 20s, I think the first time I saw him, so 30 something years ago, or 20 and change, was that he said, when you, especially, I'm going to speak now to women and moms, but women, when you feel that gut intuition that something's not safe, never be polite, right? My F shame and F politeness, that's been a practice of mine for decades. It's not new to all of this. In nature, when an animal feels that their young or themselves are in danger, there's no second guessing. There's no overthinking. They act on animal instinct. They act on animal instinct. And here we, right, as humans, we tend to second guess. Is that polite? We overthink. We don't want to make a scene. And we shouldn't. We should also act on that instinct. No one denies that they have gut instinct. No one denies they've ever been in a room or got a bad feeling about somebody. That is your intuition. It is in nature. And the most pragmatic, world's leading security experts will tell you to trust your intuition. They have masterclasses with former CIA and FBI agents begging you to trust your intuition, because it is a real thing. Beyond, deeper than the intuition are our gifts, our clear gifts, our ability to intuit things and reach that Uranian level. Jupiter is expansion. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and it also co-rules Pisces. Those are two of the people who have easier, almost seemingly easier access to their gifts. If you know a Pisces or you know a Sag, whether that's a moon, rising, whatever, you know this, right? They're probably your most accurate friends. Somebody who's got a combination, that's amazing. Because Jupiter will expand you to that 5D realm just kind of effortlessly. Then when you talk about Uranus, that Uranian energy, it's higher mind. It rules magic with a K. It helps us manifest, right? So I am going to talk about the pragmatic ways that we can prepare and where pragmatically we will have opportunity that we can concretize into actual assets, whether that be love, money, whatever. Wealth, sometimes health is wealth, right? But also, I would be remiss in completely ignoring the fact that if this is something you're interested in, and sometimes even if it's not, although I feel like if you're hearing my voice, you're probably just a modicum interested, right? But these gifts are, this is like a big lightning strike of your gifts. This is a big lightning strike of awakeness. It's going to be available to everyone, hopefully. I mean, the more the collective is kind of aware and tuning in to that higher self, the better off we will all be. That's probably as much, unless I'm talking about 12th house, that's probably as much as I'm going to talk about the metaphysical aspects of this astrological event. But it's important to remember that the surrender to those metaphysical gifts being more available to you and expanded, it's the more you surrender to that, the easier self-doubt, the inner critic, and not being able to trust yourself are the three things that will hold you back from your gifts more than the idea that you need an astrological event or that you need to be born special. Everybody is born with the gifts. So they're very available to you. And so I would just encourage anyone to, if you're really interested in that, start some kind of practice that feels right to you, and not, because if somebody else is talking about a clairvoyance practice or development, and clairvoyance isn't one of your stronger gifts, you probably will get more frustrated, create less trust in yourself, and more mental blocks to what your actual gifts are. And if you have questions about that, I've got a few lives on that, and I can do another one if you want to leave me a comment when this is over. Okay. So surrender, liberation, expansion, action in a new way, and an open mind. Those are the keywords for this event. When, again, Uranus shakes us up and shakes things up and shakes up events in our lives to give us opportunities that we may not move to out of a million reasons: complacency, fear, lived experience. And I need to say this. I said this to a dear friend, but I want to say this collectively. If you are someone, I think that's all of us, who have been in situations where everything was shook up, but it's shook up because maybe you fucked up. I'm going to be Susie. Sometimes shit gets shook up in our lives because we fucked up some way. And when I say that, I don't mean that's to be said without shame and without judgment. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all move in fear. We all move through our lived experience. We all move through trauma manifested behaviors at some point, whether they're small and nuanced or big, and everyone knows. And so sometimes the idea of something becoming less stable feels like an immediate trigger, because we feel like, I must have messed up. Everything is changing. Everything is shifting. What I finally became comfortable with is now changing. I must have done something wrong. I want to make sure that any person that feels that way at all hears me right now. This is a shakeup with the great benefic. This is gifts. This is positive things that'll come, even if the part where it's being shooken up feels uncomfortable. This is coming in from universe. You did not do anything, right? You are not in charge of when the planets align. Don't put that responsibility on yourself. It is a Venus benefic run conjunction with the great benefic Jupiter. The more you can surrender, whether you're having to take breaths through it or remembering that I'm saying to you, just surrender, because these are good changes. They will bring good things to your lives, and you had nothing to do with it. There's no place for blame if something gets shook up. And sometimes, and in some houses, we will see people leave from our lives because they no longer serve our highest good. But if you're somebody who's always told nobody sticks around you because you're toxic, or nobody sticks around you because you don't do everything right, nobody sticks around you because you're financially unstable, that will have nothing to do with whatever is about to occur through this historic event, right? So I want you to take grace and take security and a little decompression in the idea that whatever gets shook up right now, it's not shook up from a fuck up. It's not. It's things are being rearranged to create a divine connection between yourself now, your lived experiences, your trauma manifested behaviors and understandings, your societal, how you're informed societally, your early environment, all of that. Things are shaken so that that version of you who has learned and tried and healed and is doing their best every day can align with your higher self, which means your best potential. And I don't want you to hear disruption, change, shake up and get nervous, because that's not what this is about. Okay. Let's talk about the sextile to Mars. So we're all set here, right? Uranus and Jupiter, the great expander and the great shake-up planet, right? Liberation, protest, genius, by the way. Innovation is there in a great big hug. They could not get any closer unless they were going to, install zippers and wear each other like a suit. I used to say that about my little one. If he could wear me like a coat, he would, right? So they're going to be nice and close. And that is the benefits, the expansion, and the opportunity of Jupiter. Jupiter can also be joy. If you know anybody who has a Jupiter run sign, they or chart, they usually have a big personality. Sagittarius risings tend to have that laugh that you can hear 6 aisles away in the store, and you know who that is. Think Santa Claus. Jupiter is big, and it's joyous, and it wants to bring us that. And Uranus is like, hey, these people aren't moving, so let's shake things up and get them to that Jupiterian place in their life. Let's align them. Let's create that divine marriage between their best potential and where they are now, right? Because we're all only human. And so, of course, our lived experiences are going to shape the amount of movement we feel comfortable with. Now, when we talk about conversations between the planets, that's that hug, right? We also have to add Mars in there. Mars is in Pisces. It has just left Saturn, so you might be feeling a little more relief from the restriction of any movement you were trying to have last week or the week before, or certainly during the eclipse, right? A little decompression there. So Mars is on its way to Neptune, but not quite there. So it's free from the confusion of Neptune, but it is making a lovely harmonious aspect, a sextile at 60 degrees to this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Pisces also co-ruled by Jupiter. I personally think this is beautiful. Pisces is also a little quirky, right? And it does things in a different way. It's going to do things in a softer, more gentle way. So Mars is still about action. Mars is still about the execution of something. But it's going to be in a different way. It's going to be in a more gentle way. It's maybe going to be in a more covert way. But that is where we can find where we can also apply movement. And I will go over the houses that Mars will be in so that we can also talk about what that looks like, what that movement might look like for you. Taurus is fixed. Taurus is very fixed. It's fixed earth. I often say you need an event like this. Everybody who's heard this twice, I apologize. But I often say that asking a Taurus to completely move their home, the people in their home, their job, how they make money, anything that creates stability, housing stability, home stability, just the stability of how they identify, right? Asking them to move and change that, like maybe a cardinal sign would and not think twice, like let's go on a new adventure, is like asking a great redwood to uproot and move and walk. And I often equate it to, it takes the cataclysmic event of not letting Sauron win and the orcs win in the Lord of the Rings, and we see those great big magical trees with Pip and Merry kind of get up and uproot and go help fight the good fight. And that would be like a Uranus Jupiter collective event that makes people go protest, that makes people go, right, fight for what's right, fight for the good, fight for the Jupiterian collective, you know, wellness of all. And so this is a very interesting event to me because we have Taurus who doesn't really like to move, but this is Uranus. But still it's got its Venusian run. So like wherever this brings you to, especially if you have fixed signs, if you have Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, you're going to either be opposing or squaring, or it's in your sign. And so that's going to feel a little bit more challenging. And that is especially where the surrender part of those keywords are going to benefit you. Because that change, again, is for your good. We have two benefics involved here. So what may come in for the fixed signs may feel bigger than what comes in for the other signs who are like, oh, okay, there's some change. It's a Tuesday. If you haven't moved a lot your whole life, and this event suggests a change in that, even if it's the house and not the town or the geographical place, right? This can be a little off-putting. The more you can look at it as expansion and liberation, and sometimes we can't see what needs to be liberated, or it's just a little harder. It's harder to move, right? Because it feels safe. And those fixed signs, like the safety and security of people, money, home, right? Comfort. Aquarius a little less. Aquarius is about the innovation and the movement, right? It's co-ruled by Uranus. Aquarius will do a little better than maybe Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo with this. But let me say this. I know that you have lived as a fixed sign with fixed placements, maybe with fixed angles if you're one of the rising signs that are fixed, depending on your house sizes. You don't always get all of the angles in the same modalities, but you could have lived your whole life in that fixed energy. And I want you to remember that now when this happens, that you're walking into this event with a newer, more healed version of you, with a new relationship to security, with a new relationship to stability, with a new relationship of environmental conditions and your identity, and how you no longer conflate the two of those. And I'll say that last part one more time. If you have a chart with heavy fixed energy, I want you to remember while I'm asking you to surrender to the expansion and the liberation, that you are not the same person you were 20, 30, 40 years ago. And that you have a new relationship with external environmental conditions and your own identity. And I hope that helps you move into all the benefic goodness that this event will have for you. If you have planets around 21 degrees in the fixed signs, everything I said just applies twice. If you have planets placements at around 21 degrees, and I like a smaller degree, smaller orb. The planets really have orbs, the aspects have degrees. But I like to give smaller, especially because we're dealing with a social planet and an outer planet. These are not personal planets, and they're not luminaries. So I'm going to say planets from 17 degrees to 24, 25 degrees, especially because applying, I'll give an extra degree more than I will separating. Separating means if you have degrees behind, so if you have degrees 20, 19, 18, 17, the thing, whatever happened may have already happened, or will just have a little less of an impact. It tends to have a little less of an impact, where applying energy is a little bit more frenetic, and that tends to have a stronger conversation planet to planet than planets that are on their way away from that exact connection. Neptune in Scorpio, 21 degrees. I will be absolutely taking questions at the end, and possibly looking at charts. We'll see if anybody wants to have me take a look at their chart. But I will answer any questions, and then if we want to look at charts maybe later, like small super chats, and I'll be happy to, because that'll take some time to pull everybody up and take a look. But I'm happy to do that. So if you have any planets in Virgo or Capricorn, these are going to have the I love you more conversation. If you have planets between 17 and 25 degrees in Virgo or Capricorn, this is having the I love you more conversation between planets to this great benefic event. Not so shabby. If you have planets around 21, 17 to 25 degrees in Cancer or Pisces, you are having a sextiling conversation, which is also really harmonious. So again, there's opportunities to even have planets, like maybe you don't have anything in Taurus, but you have something between 17 and 25 degrees in Cancer or in Pisces. That's still a lovely conversation that you're about to have with this event. And we are 21 degrees, and there'll be another conjunction later in April also. It's just not exact. This is 21 degrees and a higher. Let me do something here. Well, that's interesting. Does anybody have any questions now before I get into the houses? And does everybody know their rising degree? The degree is going to be real important. And replayer viewers, don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat, in the comments, and I will absolutely make sure I'm answering them. Of course. I knew there would have to be some kind of snafu with the Mercury in retrograde, right? Let me look at these questions while I'm dealing. And if there's anyone that does not know their exact rising degree, if you give your birth time, and birthplace to my moderator, she can, to Lee, and at your comment at Lee, she will be able to help you get your, if you're watching and you're not sure what your exact rising degree is, she will be able to help you get that. And so anybody that's having this happen, forgive the noise you're all about to hear. Anybody that's going to have this happen after 22 degrees, you're having it in, and I've labeled it. So, like for me, my rising degree is late. So I'm having it more like a Libra rising. I'm having this in my 8th. It's right on the cusp, between my 8th and 9th. And then when it moves into the 22 degree conjunction at the end of April, it'll be in my 9th. So knowing your rising degree is really important. Okay. So 23 degrees Sag, so you are actually going to listen to the Cap rising. So if you are 22, 23, 24, 25 degrees, you're going to be listening to the next sign's house. But I'm going to make it very clear. Okay, anyone else that needs to at Lee, like Lioness just did, she will get you your exact rising degree. And for some reason, I can't get my astrological software to work at all. Let's try one more time. I don't need it, but I will if I'm going to look at charts later. We'll give it a second. We will give it a second. Okay. Okay, great. I'm going to start going into the houses. So you don't know the degree. Zoe, I think that Lee probably has your info. So just at Lee so that she can get it. Okay. And the same thing for the replay viewers. If you're not sure, leave me a comment and I will come back and give you your rising degree so that you can check. Okay. So if you are an Aries rising, 21 degrees, 0 to 21 degrees, this is happening in your second house. And it's making a trine. And also if you are late Pisces. So if you're Pisces, 22 degrees to 29 degrees. Okay. This is, first of all, making a trine to both your 6th and your 10th house. So it's happening in your house of resources, stability, and self-worth. I love where this is happening in all the houses because it just has such incredible potential. But also having the I love you more conversation to your house of health, your house of daily habits, and also the house of like your best potential, who you can become, where we work on being a better person, where we focus our evolution. Also, like that is the house of metaphysical healing as well. It's also having an I love you more conversation to the 10th house. Again, this is happening in your 2nd, but it's having harmonious aspects to both your 6th and your 10th house. The 10th house is a public reputation. It's how you're seen. When we talk about career in the 10th house, it's really tied to how you're known. And a lot of times when you first introduce somebody or you talk about somebody to somebody else, they go, oh, what do they do? So, but it's also your status. It could be marriage and divorce. It's also how you create your time here and what's left after you're gone. That's a big house. So it's having the I love you more conversation. So it's having a sextile to the 4th and the 12th, and Mars is in that 12th house, kind of like moving kind of under the cover. Also, when planets are in your 12th house, whether, natally, that's a whole other conversation. But in transit, sometimes I feel a little less access to them. Right? We talk about Venus in the 12th house, or we talk about Venus in the 1st house more because that's like when Venus transits your 1st house, a great time to like change your hair color, have a glow up, change your skincare routine, whatever it is. Because the thing is too, is that when it's in the 12th, you can feel like, my hair looks terrible. Like it's the same haircut from the same person. My hair looks terrible. Or you could feel like a little less access to your self-esteem. You could feel like a little less access to your manifestation. So with that Mars in Pisces in the 12th house, a lot of the actions that you can take is to harness that magic with a K in Uranus and the manifestation and the spiritual connection and the tapping into your gifts. The action you take will probably be even more covert than Mars and Pisces might already be. But it is absolutely the place to take action. How you're going to prepare for a surprise when this is happening in your 2nd house is Lee, when you're giving, can you give the exact 21 degrees in however many minutes? And Juan, would you be a doll? Because my software is going, could you look up the exact, I want to say it's like 21 and 50 something. I want to say it's like 21:58 or for the conjunction. But if you could get that. So that's going to be important for the house it's happening in. I had written it down, but in a different notebook. It's 21:49. I'm wondering if it's going to be a little different over here. Okay, great. I would be curious for you to look it up, Juan, anyway, just because like the time and everything tends to be so different, and sometimes just the degree or the minute is off a little bit because the time is off a little bit in a different hemisphere. But anyway, and Lee, if you could just include the minutes with the rising degree, that would be amazing. Thank you. Okay, back to this. I might edit that out eventually. So you're having this sextiling to your 4th and 12th and the Mars in the 12th. So you're having harmonious conversations with this benefic astrological event to your 6th house, your 10th house, your 4th house, and your 12th house. And it's happening in the second. And the preparedness is going to be like, honestly, what does your resume look like? If you get a surprise opportunity, are you ready to go? Is it updated? Do you know how to use ChatGPT and say, here's my resume, now rewrite it to fill this particular position? And just have it rewrite the resume. So instead of it being a generic resume, it's tailored for that position you're applying for. You know, being prepared could just be knowing how to use the ChatGPT to make sure your resume, your new resources, being open-minded to how resources come in. And the other thing is being open-minded to how you see your own self-worth. Is it tied, you know, if it's tied to the unhealthy power of money, rather than tied to your own core value of who you are without a price tag, that might be something that gets shook up. And being open for a different sense of stability. It could mean an opportunity to downsize. It could mean an opportunity to make money in a way that maybe 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, you would have thought, why would I ever do that? There are so many, you know, as we know, the job market right now is tough. And that, let me rephrase and say, the conventional job market is tough. I thought it was 2150. Okay. So 20, we'll say 2149, 2150. Okay. What is, and again, this is making a harmonious aspect to your 6th and your 10th and your 4th. That could look like working from home. That could look like working for yourself. That could look like new opportunities, new resources in a way that you didn't think. Just numbers like the percentage and the amount of money that bigger companies now spend on hiring outside resources for marketing, for scrum masters. What is your expertise? How can you now shop that and freelance? And sometimes there's more money in freelance. Certainly there is more liberation. So surrendering and doing maybe a little bit of a scary thing, right? Where you're going to go out on your own. Now, if you're an Aries rising, there could be parts of your chart that are all cardinal angles, and going out on your own feels comfortable. But if there's any kind of discomfort in this, again, I'm just going to encourage you to surrender, because the way that we prepare for this is, you know, again, any kind of new opportunity that comes in, looking on Upwork, looking on a Fiverr, and having new ways of bringing in resources, because that second house is all about you, the resources that you create. That second house is all about our self-value too, and how we value ourselves in the outside resources, and how we value ourselves like external resources, what we provide to the people we love and who we are. Right? I mean, separating those and understanding your value is going to be huge. For this, but the way you're going to prepare is obviously if a surprise resource comes in, and you can have a great job and want to add this or move forward with something else or another idea that suits you better. That's great. But knowing how to use ChatGPT to rewrite a resume or help you write a proposal for a deal, for a brand deal, for any one of these things, that is how you want to prepare. That is how you want to prepare. And again, because it's making a trine to your 6th and 10th and that beautiful sextile to your 4th, the way that this is new resources could end up being a working at home. And I probably don't need to tell people, but when you work from home, there's a lot of other expenses you cut. As somebody who used to work 3 jobs as a single mom, which included gas, daycare, all kinds of things, and working from home, the way the resources come in and with the way the resources kind of go out, it can completely change. And so if you have been frustrated, if you are one of the very many people who are being let go after being at a company for a really long time, because the top earners, that's how the companies are saving money. They're letting go of the top earners and then they're hiring younger people at less of a salary, negotiating benefits. It could be time for you to rethink, and universe may be giving you an opportunity how to rethink resources, and also separate the idea from external resources and your own value should not be conflated to be the same thing. If you are Taurus rising or late Aries after 2150 degrees, 21 degrees and 50 minutes, then this is happening in your 1st house. This aspect is, this event is making a beautiful trine to your 5th and 9th. Not so shabby for Taurus rising. And it's making a sextile to your 3rd and your 11th with Mars in the 11th. So first of all, we're going to use that Mars in Pisces and put action into how are we connecting with others? How are we we'll call it 2149 just to be safe. How are you going to connect with others? How are you going out on the internet? How are you joining in groups? How are you, there can be opportunity, money, sense of worth, abundance to be had from a collective or a group, but you're going to have to make that move. Remember, we're co-creating, we are co-conspiring. So you're going to have to make that move so that is where the action is from. In your 1st house, how we prepare is, what is your calling card? How do you wish to be seen? How do you feel like you have been seen? And how do you wish to be seen now? When I say your calling card, 10 years ago, that would have meant your business card. I remember not even 6, 7 years ago, I fell in love with my business cards. I found somebody who they felt great. And so every time I would hand a business card, they would be like, oh my God, this feels so cool. And they would inevitably hand it to the person next to them and say, feel this. This is so cool. So they were passing them out without me asking to pass them out, right? Now it's your website. Is your website emotionally moving people? What is if you have social media for your business? Is it grabbing the attention of the target audience? That is how we prepare. Because who you are, how you identify. And this could be like, I identify as somebody's girlfriend. I identify as somebody's mom. I identify as CEO of this company. I identify as somebody who is an advocate. However it is that you really want the world to see you, something could shake up and you could have comfortably identified as somebody who works for this company, somebody who is aligned with this person, either in friendship or in a partnership. And you decide, that's not who I want to be anymore. I don't want to be so-and-so's girlfriend. I don't want to be so-and-so's mother. I want to be me. What does your calling card look like? How are you how do you identify? And now, where is the money in that? Right? I promise you, every single one of us has something inside of us that we can satiate in this lifetime. A driving desire, a sense of identity, for what fulfills us, how we can, yes, it's about how we're going to help others. We're making this beautiful, harmonious sextile to Mars in the house of the humanitarian. But also, how does it satiate us, right? You might be able to help others by doing taxes for, money, financially insecure families. But if you're not good at math and that is not going to satiate you. That is not. It is the sweet spot, right? It is the world moving and shaking, Uranus coming in and shaking things up almost. And if you are a Taurus rising, and again, Taurus rising 2149 or below, or 0 to 2149, you're fixed. So the want to completely change your identity is probably going to have to come from some Uranian lightning strike to kind of shake things up. Again, surrender. And I'm going to be saying this ad nauseum when we're talking about the fixed signs, especially the fixed rising, ad nauseum. Sorry, but surrender to the expansion and the liberation from who you no longer identify as. If you have a website, update it. What is it that you want to provide? Go Google that and see what other people are asking that ask that question, and make sure that question is answered on your website, on whatever media you're using to promote who you are and your identity. That is how we prepare. There are certain rising signs, and Taurus 0 to 2149 and late Aries 2150 to 29 degrees. There's opportunity to go viral. There's opportunity to have something take off here, especially first house with the Mars in the 11th for this. There is potential for you identifying as your authentic self, because Uranus doesn't do anything but authentic. It doesn't. Ever meet an Aquarius? They are drumming, they are marching to their own drummer. They are wearing what they want to wear. Their hair is blue. Their ideas are genius. They're usually quirky and fun and interesting, but they are not conformists. Authenticity is going to, it's not just about leaning into what you think people want. The question, if it's already geared to your business, the question should be answered in your website, right? But not disingenuously. Identify with who you are at your most authentic self. Put that out into the world. do things that are humanitarian based with it, use that Mars in the 11th house. But there is absolutely a chance for something that is the most authentic version of you to take fire, to go viral, possibly too, which is absolutely beautiful. But how you prepare is, what is your calling card? What does your website look like? How do you identify? All of this. If you are Gemini or late Taurus degrees, so Gemini 0 to 2149 or Taurus 2150, quite honestly, to 29 degrees. We are looking at this in your 12th house. It's going to make a beautiful trine to your 4th and your 8th. And it's going to make a sextile to your 2nd and your 10th. So we are having, and let me just go back for 1 second. I apologize for the early Taurus to 2149 and late Aries risings that are having this in the 1st house. You're having a gorgeous trine to the 5th, which is the house of luck. Go play the lottery. And the 9th. These are the houses of joy, of the sun and Jupiter. Like, there's so much good. Don't resist it. Don't resist it with your fixed ass. Don't resist it. Because the sextiles and the trines, 3rd, 11th, 5th, 9th, those are considered some of the more easier, pleasant, happy houses, full of joy and luck. So, Gemini rising up to 2149 or late Taurus 2150 to 29. This is happening in your 12th house with a trine to the 4th and the 8th, and with a sextile to the 10th and the 2nd. So we have Mars in your 10th house of career, which is excellent. It's in Pisces. So while Mars is Mars, right? It's in Pisces. It's fire and water together. And so this is a get more flies with honey situation in that 10th house, in that house of career, in that house of reputation. I'm going to say this. If there's an unexpected event for people having the Taurus, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the 12th house, if there's an event that feels not great, or someone is seemingly conspiring against you in any kind of way, against your reputation, your career, this is the time to not react as much. The action you're going to take is the higher road in Pisces. The healthiest Piscean way to take that Mars is the highest road. Now, that might only be for a few people. I'm not predicting that you're going to have a bump at work or a bump on your reputation with this. But if that applies to you, because there is absolutely a connection to the 10th house and how we are seen and how we want to be seen and how we want to be known and how we will be known, right? And so if the surrender, again, that might only be for a few people. That applies. But also having this gorgeous, trine to the 4th house, trine to the 8th house. That's where we deeply merge with people. That is the house of intimacy, and intimacy is safety. Changing up, possibly bringing in somebody that you feel safer with. Changing how your home looks harmonious. changing how your home looks happy and Jupiterian. These are all available to you if you are Gemini or late Taurus rising, having this event in your 12th house. The other thing is, I said the only other time I would really focus on the metaphysical end of this would be the 12th house. You want to talk to people that are no longer in this physical world? Do you want to really fully lean into your gifts? Do you want to use your intuition to figure out who's your friend at work and who's not? Is a perfect time. It is absolutely a perfect time for that. The money, again, can come from career. You're going to get more flies with honey with that Mars in Pisces, and kind of moving in the 5D, but also just kind of moving a little bit softer, a little bit quieter than somebody else. The 12th house too, we can see fame come from that. It's kind of an odd duck there in the place of institutions and hidden enemies and spirituality, but also sometimes we see fame come out of 12th house placements. So this surprise thing, again, it's another placement where I feel like this could be recognition that could bring fame in it might not be world famous, but you could gain a little visibility in your career from this, even if you kind of like moved slower or kind of just try to get to work. The things that you're doing, in that 12th house and that Pisces, sometimes the actions that we have, the things that we're doing, when we're connecting this also to this 10th house where Mars is, right? We're doing them to do our job well. We're doing them so that we live this life well, because we feel a responsibility to that nebulous fifth dimension. We feel a responsibility to our higher self. We might not be doing it for the visibility, for the recognition, for the pat on our back, right? And some people who do that for the right reasons, and some people who just want the visibility and the pat on the back and the recognition are not really motivated for the right things. And so this could bring surprise recognition that you didn't expect because you didn't do it for that reason, which can come with raises, can come with all kinds of things. How we're preparing for this is, I would bring a daily practice in. It's going to be really interesting for me, if I can get my software going, that we can look at people's charts with placements in the 12th house. I just did a delineation for someone who has this in their 12th house, and the things that it's hitting and kind of liberating in the 12th house are beautiful, because sometimes the planets that are in our 12th house, we have a harder time, especially earlier in life, accessing. We feel like they're a little less available to us. So this could liberate those placements in the 12th house. I kind of particularly love this placement. And the money will come. It may come from you using your intuition and your gifts could just be really, really available to you. With this Uranus conjunction with Jupiter. Again, the way you're going to prepare is practicing. Bring on a spiritual practice. Bring on a spiritual practice that helps you regulate your nervous system. Bring on a spiritual practice that just calls back all your power to you. Because when you're having this in the 12th house, you probably have power that you don't understand, but other people feel it, and other people would like to keep you a little watered down, right? So just having that, I call back all my power to me from anyone using it with or without my permission, morning and night, will help give you access to anything in your 12th house, to this in your 12th house. And I know, again, I said this is the only other place I'm going to get real metaphysical, but the way that affects you in a Venusian way, right? And this event is run by Venus. The way that will help you with your self-esteem and your confidence, because you will feel more empowered by calling on those spiritual protections. I promise, just try it. Try it for a week and see what happens. I call back all my power, and you could say, I always said universe, spirits and guides. That's been my go-to for a decade. You can say whatever you like. I always say, I don't care if you say Care Bears. I really don't. You like it, I love it. But just ask, say, and because I said so at the end, if you're feeling like people around you are predatory and you really need the empowerment, I call back all my power to me now from anyone using it with or without my permission, because I said so. Because I said so is for your brain more than it is spiritually, but it is for your brain, and it is to make a proclamation and to make a claim that is your power. And sometimes we give that away without realizing it. So that is going to increase your self-value. This is a Venusian run event. It is going to have you recognized for the right things, which absolutely can bring money through career. And because it is sextiling into that second house, we can see an increase in resources as well. And in the 8th house, that's also can be erased. That's other people's money, but it's also like that deep, deep safety with somebody. And so all of those playing together make this really beautiful recipe for not just one event that brings you something briefly, but something that builds. Holy cow. Helps you build a magnetism, especially in that 12th house. Don't sleep on that 12th house. The magnetism that will create more abundance your whole life and less nerves, quite honestly. Okay. Somebody's saying I watch many astrologers be more focused on the collective energy. I'm always impressed on people. Mundane astrology takes a lot of research. I'm always impressed by Lori Rivers. And then the personal astrology, and also it's very easy to see it play out, so we can see how accurate they are when they're doing a good job doing predictive for the collective. But I really wanted to focus because the collective delineation of this looks very disruptive. And so I just wanted to focus for everyone where the opportunity is, where the money could be, and where the better self-esteem, because it's Venusian run. Okay. Cancer rising, so 0 degrees Cancer to 21 degrees and 49 minutes. Or late Gemini, 21 degrees 50 minutes to 29 degrees. This is happening in your 11th house. This is making a beautiful trine to your 7th and your 3rd. I mean, and it's also making a gorgeous sextile to the 1st and the 9th, with Mars in the 9th. This is one of my favorite placements, maybe. Cancer rising, late Gemini rising. You're again looking at the possibility of going viral, absolutely, with this placement. Taking a class, finding out, gaining information from that Mars in the 9th house. Also, Mars in Pisces in the 9th house, right? If the 3rd house is being influenced and connected to people who are locally to us, then that 9th house is being influenced and and connected to people who are not near us. And that doesn't just include other cultures and geographical places. That includes, that's why Sag is so psychic. That includes people who are not near us in another form, in another plane. So I just want to say, like, if you've kind of thought maybe you've had some like mediumship abilities or whatnot, this could really, the Mars and Pisces here could really surprise you with a visit from, like, you know, Uncle Harry or something. But also, again, the ability to go viral here with this Jupiter Uranus, like you make a stupid video, you're not even trying, and poof. And you'll see that a lot. I had made a video, you know, I had to stop and take care of my mom. I would do it all over again. So I kind of lost my footing on TikTok. But back in 2021, I made a video after spending all day with my mom at the hospital. It was worn down and she had dementia, but because of COVID, they would not let me stay where normally I would just stay. And she was saying goodbye to her, watching that gurney go away while she was begging them to let me because she was scared. Because at night it's even worse. And so I had tackled my entire day with love, and I had managed to like make friends with the nurse that was on her floor and be able to call. She could call me as much as she wanted, and I could call and check in on her. And so there was a little sense of relief, and I pulled out a bunch of cards. I looked terrible. It was 1:00 in the morning. I was very emotional, and I did some random reading, and it got almost 1 million views, and it blew up my entire platform. And all of this, quite frankly, I still have people on here from that TikTok. That kind of, you are moving through in authenticity. It won't be something you conspire to do. It won't be planned. It's Uranus, and you will probably be moving through with great authenticity and just putting out a video, an idea, something. And you have such potential to go viral here. And I'm only saying that story because the last thought on my mind that day was going viral, getting almost 1 million views on something. I think to this day, it has like 4,000 saves and shares and 7,000 comments or something ridiculous. Which I know is nothing compared to other, but in my small little world, that was a lot, right? So like you won't expect it. It probably won't be the one where you get all gussied up. It probably won't, but it really, especially with Mars in that 9th house, learning something from somebody else, getting a new piece of information and just sharing it with the collective, feeling like I don't want to gatekeep, something like that could really give you this unexpected Venusian influx. I can't say this enough for this Cancer lady, because we're talking to contractual partners. We're talking about communication. We are talking about the 9th house, and we are talking about the 1st house, how people see you. It's a recipe for viral with technology. 11th house is the house of the internet. 3rd house is the house of communication. All of these beautiful conversations we're having here. Amazing. How you're going to prepare to go, no one can prepare for that, right? But how we're going to prepare is really getting well informed, so that when you deliver whatever it is that you want to deliver to somebody else, you're confident because you are well informed. You're not guessing. You're not pulling anything from anywhere. Not that there isn't spirituality involved in this, but it's a little less than that 12th house where it's like, that was a claircognizant hit, I'm going to go with it. That 9th house asked you to take action in higher learning. And I don't think you're going to learn how to go viral there. I think you're going to get a piece of information that applies to a large collective. People that are not just from where you're from, that don't just think how you think. And you're going to share it. The money is going to come from being a part of that group, being a part of that community. But the action you're going to take for sure. And it doesn't matter if you go on to the University of YouTube, right? Or you learn, but you're going to go and get information that you did not have before from a source that you normally don't have access to. And that's how we prepare. But I mean, again, we have 9th, first house, Jupiter loves that 9th house. And first house is all going to be about your identity, how just be authentic. That's the most part. Whatever your identity is, just be authentic. If we are Leo rising or late Cancer, you're going to have this in your 10th house of career. Reputation, authority. This is really a big opportunity to be recognized. We have that a little bit with that Taurus and late Aries rising because it's at Mars is in the 10th, but this is it's got a trine to the 2nd and the 8th. The 2nd and the 6th. How you're going to prepare is worry about yourself. Worry about your self-mastery. Worry about what are your daily habits. Do not be looking at the coworkers' habits. Do not be looking at what somebody else is doing or not doing. This is focus on yourself, your best health, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That is what you need to focus on. And then watch how you emanate that Venusian magnetic attraction because you are focusing on yourself. And man, the reputation. This could also be in a rare case, this could be proposal for somebody, unexpected change of status and reputation. You go from being single to be taken, or, who knows, maybe there'll be some crazy Leo rising kids that'll just go get married at the chapel in Vegas during this over the weekend. But this is just expansion and liberation in career. So like if you wanted to move up, even if you wanted to move, if you wanted to move to the side so that you could move laterally a little easier, there's tons of potential here. Raises, promotions, getting plucked out of maybe you were hired for one thing, but over the years, you've learned so many skills and you're like an actuary for people. And so they're going to pluck you into management, but you're going to be seen by authorities. So, that's why I'm saying the way that you prepare for this is really kind of in that 6th house where you are mentally, emotionally, supporting yourself to be the best possible ethical person you can be, because the light's gonna shine. The light is gonna happen in that 10th house. So how you prepare is feeding yourself, your self-esteem, your daily habits, focusing on you, and resist the idea of focusing on other people, surrendering to whatever comes next. And Leo rising is fixed. So it may be great to get the recognition, but realize okay, now they really want me to do this other job now. And you want to surrender to that, because the goodness, the money, the abundance coming back, through this event is really, really great for you. You know, and also having a trine to that second house from this event is resources. It's the I love you more, where money comes in for you. So again, preparing is really, because it is about being seen by authorities, reputation. We want to really focus on who is that ethically. How are we going to be recognized? Because a lot of times we tend to focus on people to the left or to the right of us. And I always say this thing where, like, universe, there's enough donuts for everyone. Universe will keep making the donuts, right? Like, when we put the focus on ourselves, we put more energy and more self-love when we are less worried about what we see as competition or who's not doing a good job. And that's frustrating. I come in and do my job every day, and this person gets paid the same amount to do a shitty job. It's surrender to the fact that that person is not your problem. If we're going to sit here and adapt the practice and belief, which is so liberating, talk about Uranus, of other people's opinions of me are none of my business, that also means we can't be spending our time forming opinions about other people that are none of our business, right? So there's a lot of that in this Leo rising. And so Leo rising sometimes have this relationship with approval, with acknowledgement, because all humans should be acknowledged. All kids, all children should be acknowledged and loved, right? And so when we look at this kind of aspect where there's tons and tons and tons of recognition, which Leo is here to do, Leo rising is here to do, let it be that you are being recognized for exactly who you are. And it has nothing to do with anybody else. That you are ruled by the sun. And so surrendering to just focusing on your own energy brings beautiful, beautiful rewards. Beautiful rewards. Tons of recognition and upward movement, quite frankly. And with Mars in the 8th house, again, other people's money. That could be the client's money. That could be, but it's going to be a gentle movement. This is not taking anybody's money for the wrong reasons. This is going to be a gentle, we're going to move out of the highest version of that Pisces, that one love, that unconditional love. So that Mars in the 8th house could also be moving into a partner you feel really, really safe with as well. But the action is going to come from, it's what we don't want people to see sometimes, or it's what's below the surface. So want to kind of almost clean up anything that's under that surface that we feel comfortable with, that we feel okay putting out there into the world, because it's going out into the world. This is happening in your 10th house. Full lights on. Right at the top of the chart. You can't miss it. And if you have 10th house placements, you'll kind of know how you always feel like a little seen, like eyes are on you, not because you want them to be, but they just are. And the minute you acclimate to that, it brings two things. One, it takes away the nerves. Two, if you weren't already like that, it'll inspire you to move as ethically as possible, because eyes are always on you. Okay, Virgo or late Leo. So Virgo rising to 21 minutes, 49 seconds, or late Leo 21:50 to 29. This is happening in your 9th house with a trine to the 1st and the 5th. Again, we're talking about just explosion of higher mind, higher education, Jupiter run house, tons of opportunities. This could be an opportunity to go speak globally. This could be an opportunity to, you're asked to go do a retreat or go fly someplace or go move someplace that brings a lot of money. Like, hey, we need people over here working in this part of the world. How you would prepare for this is like, make sure everything's in order if you have to go quick someplace. But the benefits, holy cow. And with the trine to the 1st and the 5th, and Mars being in the 7th, like, you may want to take This could be a thing where you and your partner can go. There's contractual relation, like you might say to somebody, hey, I want to work with you. And then it leads to this, we get to go fly overseas and do whatever. Or, you know, somebody could contact you for brand partnerships, some kind of partnership. Now, yes, the 7th house can be like open enemies, and we're talking about the Mars and Pisces being there. You know, that's when we're just going to use our discernment. We're going to use our discernment, use a pendulum, you know, call on your trusted metaphysical support person when these things come in. But I mean, if a big opportunity comes in for this event, it's benefic. It's Jupiter and Venus. You know, it's just unexpected. With it making to this trine to the first, again, who you are authentically is going to bring about the opportunity. It's going to be a catalyst in bringing about that opportunity, and it's going to help shape who you are. And I think that with the opportunities to like travel, or even if it's not physical travel, it is connection with people overseas, indulging in other cultures in a way that brings you more abundance, that's going to change your identity. That is going to open you up. That is going to absolutely feed all the themes of surrender and expansion and open-mindedness and liberation. And it is really just a beautiful, I love this for Virgo and late Leo. Where can you learn? How does that enrich you? You know, knowledge is wealth, health is wealth, love is wealth, intimacy is wealth. It's not just money. And so where can you be enriched? And this is the kicker. I love this one. Virgo risings, with all your imposter syndrome and everyone and everything else. This is, are you ready to teach? You probably are. You probably are and are thinking that you're not. But an opportunity, so somebody might say like, hey, your skill set is something I like. I like your ethics and your skill set in this. Do you want to teach this class? Do you, you know, I'm doing a thing where I'm getting different providers to teach for this, you know, kind of online school. You want in. Self-esteem is your identity, your self-esteem. Your self-esteem. It's making the sextiles to that 11th house. This can expose you to lots of groups. It's making a sextile to the 7th, where that Mars is. It can contractually get you into a partnership that is financially beneficial and just in your life beneficial. And if you are a Virgo rising, you value being smarter tomorrow than you were today. This event sets you up so beautifully. The only thing that you have to surrender to is that you are ready. You are ready to teach as well as ready to learn. And you can be learning and teaching at the same time. You could be learning and teaching at the same time. Right? Different subjects probably, but you could be learning and teaching at the same time. This is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous for you. That money is going to come from teaching classes. Online classes are a nice, because you don't have to charge everybody in an arm and a leg, but if you can accommodate a lot of people, that brings in a lot of money. Your identity, your status to be known as a teacher. And to be known as a scholar. Because you kind of want to be known as a scholar, right? To be known as a teacher who's worth being taught by. The opportunity to learn and to teach have financial benefits. You're going to surrender to that. And don't forget those trines to the 1st and the 5th. That's also lucky. I mean, it may involve children. You might feel it's a little risky, but that's a very lucky. I mean, I say all signs go play lottery, but also this is another one with a harmonious aspect to your 5th. you know, and with the internet and everything there, that sextile to the 11th house, this is maybe a chance to learn, and then go spread it out, right? When we think about that 11th house and that knowledge bearer, the water bearer of Aquarius, it's taking the knowledge it's learned and pouring it out into the community, out into, and the internet is the river of knowledge, right? So this has great financial potential. It has great self-esteem potential. It's a gorgeous place to have it. Okay, we're halfway through. We are at Libra or late Virgo. So Libra from 0 degrees to 2149, or Virgo 2150 to 29 degrees. This is in your 8th house. It's making a trine to the 4th and the 12th. This is another kind of spiritual aspect to this Uranus Jupiter. The other thing is I think when we have transits in the 8th house, we tend to think, oh no, debt, taxes, death, you know, and I want to make sure that you all remember that transits to your 8th house also means investments. This could be a settlement coming in from, you know, the divorce is kind of final, or a settlement on a will, or which that can take years. But also, who wants to invest in you? Other people's money doesn't just mean your partner. It can also mean, or people that you have close, intimate relationships with. It can also mean clients' money, investors' money. And it doesn't mean taking it in again, just like we said, like online classes or whatever. You could offer something for a small amount that has appeal to a lot of people. Now, in this 8th house, the appeal might come from something that feels a little bit more vulnerable. You might be able to offer something to people that don't feel like they have stuff offered to them all the time, and that has great, great value. You might get the opportunity to work with vulnerable community. You might get an opportunity to do something kind of, that's also, honestly, I when I look at this aspect, I see a charitable aspect. And the kind of charity, I have a big problem when people are on the street filming themselves, like giving money to homeless people or something. That's, to me, is not why we should be doing that. So this could be an opportunity that's kind of quiet or hush-hush to help people. And it's not about it's very different from having 10th house, right? Even though it's going to make an aspect to that 10th house, it's going to change your status, possibly your career, calling, and it could affect your reputation. But there is absolute ample opportunity to be invested in. Again, we're going to pull on our self-esteem here. We're going to pull in on our self-esteem. Getting rid of shame is so important. That is how you prepare. You get rid of all that shame, the stuff that you feel like people don't want to talk about, or feel like if we talk about it, it's going to, make you look bad, or, having an understanding of things that other people have felt vulnerable to is such a blessing. That 8th house, getting rid of shame, so the opportunity can come in when somebody wants to invest in you, whether that's in love, with money, with their time, with their intimacy. If somebody wants to invest in you and not pushing it away because you feel like you think that's a good investment, I feel like that's a bad investment because you're still wrapped in shame. How you prepare is, listen, I have a free childhood walkthrough. It's on the front part of my page. It really deals with shame, not just childhood healing. It deals with shame at any age. It's all connected. I would encourage you, if that just resonated with you, just go watch that video. You can watch it as many times. You can use it for whatever you want. It's free. It's everywhere. It's on my signature, my email. I put it everywhere because I want people to use it. The opportunity to be invested in. And again, the 12th house is things we can't see coming. We kind of don't sometimes feel like we have access to it. It's making a beautiful trine. That can also be, I mean, 8th house is also the house of like the occult and psychology. This could be fame coming in a spiritual way. This could be you being known in a smaller kind of occult community, but for very good reasons. This is a benefic. This is not a full moon. This is not a Mars Uranus. This is Jupiter Uranus being run by Venus. Let people invest in you. Let people invest in you. Let people invest in you. And if I'm not talking to late Virgo risings, right, who could also have a little struggle, then I'm talking to Libra. Use, the Venus in Libra is so subjective. It's art, it's beauty, and you have to allow other people's opinion of how that beauty might fall onto you, how that investment, that attraction falls onto you. And our daily habits, our ethics, are the way that we support ourselves. That's where Mars is. This is absolutely the recipe of this is the not letting other people's opinions of us are none of our business, right? And really focusing on yourself with that Mars in the 6th house, with how you do your daily habits, and having other people see how you support yourself will make them want to invest in you. Think about nowadays when we look for partners. It used to be different, but nowadays everybody has a certain amount of awareness of healing. And where 10, 20 years ago, we loved the broken bird. We wanted to be able to give somebody the love they never received in it. And we, I think, the rebel without a cause. And now we understand that to have a healthy relationship, we need somebody who has a certain amount of awareness, that's willing to put some effort into themselves. We used to get sold that 2 halves make a whole. I have never thought that. A little bit of a rebel in my youth. I always thought that you just needed to make sure the non-negotiables worked well with each other, but you have to bring 2 whole people to a table. And that is the same concept here. For you to be somebody that other people want to invest in, you have to be supporting yourself, your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical wellness. That is what makes you a good prospect to be invested in by someone else. This could be brand recognition. This could be somebody coming to find you. We still have a sextile to the 10th here. This could be amazing things, but how you treat yourself and your daily habits, your daily self-care, your daily practices, that shows up on all of us. Something to keep in mind for people having this in the 8th house. And, needless to say, the trine to the 4th, this is, and I love you, more conversation. However you're invested in, however you've gotten rid of shame, completely helps and possibly heals generational stuff in that 4th house. You're showing an excellent example to the people in your home, and you're also probably helping, because again, we have a little spiritual trifecta here with 12th, 4th, 8th, right? And you're probably going to do some healing, especially if you heal shame. That's huge. Don't ever sleep on that. Healing shame is generational. When you do a little bit for yourself, it becomes generational. Scorpio rising or late Libra. So Scorpios from 0 degrees to 2149, or Libras 2150 to 29 degrees. This is happening in your 7th house with a trine to the 3rd and the 11th. Mars will be in that 5th house because you're having a sextile to both the 9th and the 5th. Again, kind of a lucky placement. I really like this for Scorpio risings. You're fixed, just like the Leo and the Taurus. However, being open to surrender and letting people come in and out of that 7th house, right? Letting people, it's Uranus and Jupiter. So, you know, the change, the surprise could be that somebody leaves out of that sector of your life. It's also contractual. It's partnerships. So again, this could be you reaching out to say to somebody, hey, I'd like to work with you, that you didn't think that you would ever have the balls, possibly. Even as a Scorpio rising, to say to somebody, hey, I want to work with you. I want to work with this group. I want to work with this movement. I want to work with this collective. I want to work with this non-for-profit. And somebody also could come to you and say, hey, we're interested in working together. Big benefits coming out of that. Big benefits coming out of any kind of partnership here, but also how you allow partnerships in your life. Now, with Mars in the 5th house, there's some movement in risk. There's some movement in romance. It's also children. It's also, you know, where we have fun. But Uranus Taurus for Scorpio rising could really be like the person you didn't see coming. Especially because that Mars in the 5th house. And so if you're in something that's been dead, that doesn't honor the authentic version of you, doesn't honor and doesn't support like where you want to go in that 9th house with your higher learning, with your exposure to other cultures, with the expansion, right? Anybody that's kept you stifled, but it just is what it was, and it was cheaper to keep her, or whatever the case may be. That Mars in 5th house and that Uranus in your 7th, surprise, surprise. This is the one that I see maybe being the most personally disruptive. But again, this is Jupiter. This is Venus involved. This is setting you up to be in an environment that supports your authentic self, and, you know, with a sextile to that 3rd house, your communication. Again, something I just said recently. There's a saying that says, may you find somebody who understands who you truly are, so you don't spend a lifetime translating your soul to someone who can't understand. The money can come in absolutely from contracts, partnerships in business, but also the value can come in from feeling valued and not being someplace where you are not valued. I want you to remember, when we are looking at that 7th house for you, we're not talking about, are you getting along with other people? That is your house of partnerships. I often talked about, like, who's the bouncer you have at that 7th house, because that's a very exclusive club. People should be vetted to get in there. Whether it's business, friendship, right? Or relationship. And, you know, when that house subject was decided, marriages were contractual. You didn't get to decide who you wanted to marry. Probably if you were super, super poor, as long as you wanted to marry somebody who's super, super poor. That's when you could choose for love. A little bit. But mostly there was, like, you know, somebody was buying a cow. It wasn't, right? So it was contractual. Who have you made contracts with? Who in your heart now, right? Because now it's changed. Now it's marriage, and marriage should be more of an actual partnership. The worth of how you feel in your own house of relationships it's very important that we frame it in our mind that that 7th house isn't where people accept us enough to want to be with us. That is our house of relationships. It should authentically honor us and how we communicate. This is also making a beautiful trine to the 11th house, the collective, the house of the humanitarian. You know, just those contractual surprises one way or another that can come in that are going to benefit us may involve the collective. I keep, you know, getting the flash of like, are you with somebody where you would not want to, you'd be embarrassed about what their views were? I'm going to say that part again because I feel like this is, maybe that's the surprise. It's the surprise of the mindset, Scorpio, the unmovable with your eyes and your sus. Love humanity. Sus of people on an individual basis, Scorpio rising. That 7th house isn't supposed to be where you fight for people to like and accept you so that they will be with you. It is your house of partnership. You put a bouncer on the door. You vet them out. That is an exclusive club that people get to participate. They get to participate. That is the club of you. So any shakeups that happen in this it's benefic. It might not look or feel benefic, right? And if it's a shakeup of a partnership changing, that's okay too. That's okay too. The money is going to come from the partnership stuff. And absolutely play the lotto. The Mars is in your 5th house. Play the lottery, play the lottery, play the lottery. You could win stuff too. Don't go bet the house. Please don't go to a casino. People having strong 5th house placements for this. Don't go to a casino. No. Because surprise, surprise. No. But go ahead, play lotto. Make a low risk thing. Okay, Sag rising and late Scorpio rising. So if you are Sag from 0 degrees to 21 degrees and 49 minutes, or late Scorpio, 21 degrees, 50 minutes to 29:59. This is happening in your 6th house with a trine to your 2nd and your 10th. This is attention to your health for sure. Attention to your reputation. Thank you for watching. This is attention to this could shake up your daily routine. If it does, it's going to take you to better health, better wealth. And with this Sag rising, late Scorpio rising, I really want you to totally wrap around the idea that health is wealth. And Jupiter Uranus here again is benefic. So this is not going to bring you an ailment. If it shakes up your 6th house of everyday pets, I mean, honestly, you could have a pet walk up in your driveway. Universe could put the universal pet distribution system in play here for you, which would, for me, I think like if I was a Sag or a late Scorpio rising, that would be my choice. I'll have to see now if my late Scorpio rising child ends up with a new pet. But again, I want you to remember that this is benefic. Now, this is still work. This is your daily habits could be recognized. This could be surprise promotion. This could be surprise opening in your job. This could be a lot of opportunity coming from well, there's two ways really. For the people who are good at fitness, good at self-discipline, good at those sixth house topics, good at support. How are you supporting yourself? How are you supporting other people? When you are good at those things, there will be money afforded and available to you on the opportunity to teach other people to be good at those things. Mars is in your fourth house. Again, there's opportunity to work from home here. Go into business for yourself. Opportunity in the support systems that you practice for yourself and can teach other people to practice. And it's creating that trine to that second house of new resources. I'm going to reiterate what I said about the eighth house when Mars was in the sixth house for the late Virgo and early Libra, is that when we look around now on people we want to invest in, we just want to see that they are also investing in themselves, that they also have done some of their journey, that they're in some kind of way accountable. We're not looking for two halves to make a whole, right? So when we are looking at this event happening in the sixth house, there is, again, there could be surprise opportunity because people see if you are steady in your practices, if you are taking care of your health. And if you're not already taking care of your health, this could be a person coming in, finding out information about, a supplement or a stretching practice, something, a metaphysical practice, Reiki. You could have an opportunity. Somebody could say, hey, listen, I need a model. My Reiki master would be there. I'm practicing, and finding Reiki into your life and having it completely change who you are and how you do health. There is money opportunity here, really, from you supporting yourself first. This is put your oxygen mask on first. It's changing that Venusian antenna that brings in abundance. And that is, again, supporting yourself first. One of the nicest things you can do is come to somebody else and say, I've been working on myself so much that, your problems will be your problems. I won't take any of that personal. Or I've been working on myself so much that I built a happy, healthy life for myself. And so I'm not anybody else's responsibility to make happy or make healthy. Those are people you want to bring on, whether that's personally, professionally, in any way. So the opportunity can come from money, absolutely. Also, fourth house, you could have a chance to sell real estate or be involved in an investment somehow with that Mars and Pisces there. But again, working from home too, an opportunity to work from home where actually there's a lot more money to be made and money to be saved. And also that Piscean Mars, the action in the softer way at home, may be just you having the opportunity to be home for people that need you home right now for whatever, whether that's an elderly parent or a child going through something. This is a health is wealth kind of play out with this event, but it absolutely has financial gains as well. And don't forget that, again, with that trine to that second house, there very much could be wonderful new resources coming in. Cap rising and late Sag. This is happening, boom, right in your fifth house. You are having a Jupiter-Uranus benefic run thing happening in the house of joy. I'm a little jelly. If you are a Cap rising, 2149, 0 degrees to 2149, please go play the lottery. Again, I don't want you in a casino. I don't. But go play the lottery. This is happening in your house of joy. This could be, honestly, this is what you want. This could be a child. This could be a grandchild. This could be like a new life coming in. This could be an opportunity to work with kids. It could be an opportunity to go to somebody surprising you, like, hey, I got an extra, like one person dropped out, you want to go to Disney. I mean, this is the opportunity to have fun, to experience joy, maybe take a little risk, certainly win some money. I would not, it's the house of gambling, right? So I don't want you to gamble, but go ahead, try your luck on a lotto ticket. Something that has, like, gambling is, yeah. No, but we're having a gorgeous trine to the 9th and the 1st. This could change how people see you, right? And it changes how you open your mind to the world completely. Sorry. Some of you may be getting a grandchild, and some of you may be getting a grandchild where there's like mixed ethnicities that make you like completely fall in love with another culture as well. The opportunity in this is the finances could come from anything, because it's just the house of joy. It's the house of luck. So whether that's working with kids, whether you win some money, there's also abundance in love, romance, possibly in this house. The other thing that I love is with Mars in the 3rd house for you. The beautiful expression of communication, but also there is just, because this is happening in the 5th house and it's liberating you from things, any kind of restrictions you have felt in not being your full authentic self, Cap risings, will be liberated for you. You can move forward with less restriction on how you feel you're most authentic. That's a win. A win is a win. That's a win. Again, we're having a trine here to the 9th and the 1st. Your identity, your higher learning, the expansion, like Jupiter loves that house. And we're having sextiles to the 7th in partnership, and into the 3rd with communication. So also, if you've ever wanted to like write a book with somebody, or get into a partnership where you're with, and there's communication here, this could just be the magic recipe with all of these positive conversations with these houses. And please leave me comments if you have other planets around that 17 to 24 degrees, especially in these houses, because I would love to see that. I really want my early Cap risings, late Sag risings to comment, because I want to see how this played out for you. Winning the lottery, getting a brand new grandchild, having money come in from 1 in a million ways because you're just having fun or you're taking a small risk, that's all beautiful. The idea of moving forward with less restriction to your authentic self, to me, that's the real pot of gold in this one, and I absolutely love it for you. Okay, 2 more to go. Aqua rising, or if you are a late Cap rising, so we're talking 0 degrees to 2149 of Aqua rising, or 2150 to 29 degrees in Cap. This is happening in your 4th house. It's making a trine to your 8th and 12th. This is our last kind of woo-woo trifecta house conversations for this Uranus Jupiter. Absolutely like a surprise. Somebody could knock on your door and say like, We really want to buy your house. What are you offering for your house? I also think because of other environmental, astrological, and economical external conditions, that is not a far-fetched thing. That somebody may knock on your door and say, hey, you know, what do you want for this house? Because the house market might be changing up a little bit. I'm not going to get into that. I will not be taking any questions on that because that'll take us down a rabbit hole. But hello. But you may have an opportunity to buy a house, buy an investment Airbnb with somebody. But again, you may you may really get an offer for your house. This is going to be a surprise benefic. You know, you could find out that you are, and you know, how you prepare for this is like, know the value of your house. Know also, look into, are there any things that you can apply towards your mortgage or anything else through work, through a different rate because you're related to a veteran, something. There could be hidden nuggets that, you know, be prepared to take advantage of any opportunities. If you hear a government program landing about housing or payments or financing, being prepared to know what you qualify for, that is the thing in that fourth house. The other thing that's going to happen in that fourth house, again, is that you could get a new addition. You could bring joy into the house, surprise joy with new people, a new blended family, and lots of healing for sure. This is a beautiful, beautiful aspect. You know, maybe because I'm a Cancer, I feel like how your home runs and the harmony of your home really navigate so much else for me. Like, I want the people in my home to be happy, but I also want the people in my home to be the ones that I most want to have safety and intimacy with, you know. And so bringing somebody new into the home where you don't want to say goodbye anymore and you want to just roll over and say goodnight, that could also be happening. Having somebody ask you to move in, getting an opportunity to buy a house, all of these things. And of course, we're making, there's investments, which is again why I think also you could be surprised with, hey, you want to go into this investment. Surprisingly enough, because it's not like a money house, I'm going to say that if you're going to have this in your fourth house, the best way you can be prepared is actually like know what your finances are, and know what you would qualify for, and just look into any kind of like relief programs for like high mortgage rates or anything like that. We're having a sextile to the sixth house, again, of like who you are, how you master yourself, how your daily habits, how you support yourself. But also Mars is in that second house. So, you know, I'm never mad at that. Watch your spending, but the blending the house could also bring more money in as resources. It's going to, you know, other people's money is theirs. That's more eighth house, but we're still having an aspect there as well. So this could like increase your resources and also be adding somebody else's resources to the home. Again, I really see a lot about blending houses or investing in like an Airbnb or a rental house. Rental properties are an excellent investment. So something could come up, you know, literally a friend's family member could pass. Nobody wants the house. The house is near you and they go, hey, you want to buy the house from us? It's going to be, they bought it in 1958 and whatever else, right? We don't want to pay the taxes on it. It got, you know, we don't. So it could be a surprise investment of some kind of property as well. preparing by knowing what your finances actually are, what's available to you, and yeah, be looking at programs. That Mars in the second house, that action of increasing your resources. This is, again, another great late cap, Aqua till 2149. Great. Aspect, you know, it's expansion to your home to make it happy. It's Jupiter, and also more of that. The safety and security. Mars is how we find, you know, you could downsize and move into somebody else's house, but feel such security and safety and self-esteem with that person in that blended family. There's a lot of love in this aspect too. So I really, I would love for you guys to all leave me a comment. And making sure that home feels like where you can be your authentic self, very much like the 7th house, where we said, you know, that's your house. You have to feel authentically at home in your 7th house. People have to be vetted to get into your 7th house, your club of you. The 4th house is similar. You know, you want to create this happy Jupiterian home where you can be your most Uranian, authentic, quirky self. You know, like single self behavior. You know, you want to be in the house of somebody if you're going to put your self tanner on at night or walk around in your pajamas that are comfortable but look terrible. Whatever it may be, it's creating the most authentic self, and for of course everybody in there. It's just a beautiful aspect. Okay, last one, we have Pisces. And again, if you're late Pisces, 2150 to 29 degrees, you're going to go back and watch the first reading for Aries late Pisces. But this is Pisces and late Aqua, 3rd house. You're making a trine to contractual relationships, and you're making a trine to that 11th house of the humanitarian, the internet, communication. You want to do a podcast, you want to write a book, you want to go into partner somebody to write a book or do a podcast or have some kind of communication out there. Also, stuff may happen where you may get a car or have to get a car, but if you have to get a car, something will probably swoop in. So like, take a breath if that's you, and just know that this is a benefic, ruled and, you know, co-run event. Yeah, there absolutely could be money in starting a podcast with somebody, especially because we have partnership, we have the internet, we have communication, and, you know, that Mars is in the 1st house. Who you are is part of the action here. Who you want to present to the world is part of the action. And that we have 5th house. We have the house of luck and joy in the other sextile. This is really, I keep saying it for all of them, but like this one's nice. Pisces rising, late Aquarius. This is nice. What do you have to say that others want to hear? It could be a conversation with somebody that you think, oh, I thought everybody knew that. Or like, maybe this is a good conversation for us to be having. You know, writing a book. Whether that's with you or with a partner or somebody partners in to help fund it. You might be surprised to find out what you have to communicate is of such value. Venus run event. There's money in this. There's money in this. There's money in this. There's luck in it. There is your identity, why you matter, why your action and all of that. That is such a big, it's a big part of this. How you prepare for it. Get comfortable with your voice being heard. As a Pisces rising, get comfortable with your voice being heard. You're not supposed to fade into the wallpaper. You're not supposed to fade into the woodwork. You have so much value to what needs to be communicated. If you have any problems with your cars, just know that Venusian, instruments will come in and help you. Somebody will be able to either help you repair your car, or a better car is going to be available by the time you sell this one or whatever. That is all 12 houses. Does anyone have any questions? I know that I picked a weird time to go live, so I'm sure I'll get a lot more replayers than we have in the live because of the time of day. But if you have any questions, I would love to say I could look at your chart, but I can't because my Mercury retrograde. I made a couple of videos yesterday about Mercury retrograde. So for some reason, it just will not open up. I'm probably going to have to shut everything down to get it to work. But I'd be happy to take questions. Yeah, it's still not working. It's happening in your 5th house. Wonderful. So the 16 degrees I wouldn't consider. I wouldn't consider the 16 degrees only because it's almost a 6-degree separate, and these are social and outer planets that we're talking about, Uranus and Jupiter. So I don't give them a big orb to begin with. Also, that 16 would be in separation. But still, excellent. Excellent. Any other questions? And if you're a replay viewer, thank you. All of my views are up. I appreciate you all so much because not everyone can hang out on a live. So I know that the replay viewers are just the backbone of the channel's growth lately. And so thank you. And if you have any questions about this at all, please leave me a comment and I'll be like white on rice for the comments to answer them if you have any questions. I'm going to eat something and then I have a session with one of my favorite clients in a half an hour. Please know that this shakeup, this change, again, the shakeup is not from a fuck up. This shakeup, this change is coming in to align you to your best potential, and it is very benefic. It is full of good things. Your Pisces ascendant is 28. So Eliza, you would be watching the Aries rising 2nd house. I talked about how the Aries rising is for late Pisces as also. So you're going to look at that first, and I'm sure we'll have timestamps on all of this. But you're going to be looking at the second, having the event in your 2nd house, not your 3rd, with 28-27. I hope that made sense. If your rising degree is after 21 minutes and 49 seconds, you're going to be looking at the next house. And I literally cover that in every rising sign. I talk about this for this or this late rising. Because I'm a late rising too. So I almost never, whatever they're saying Virgo rising applies, it almost never applies because I'm such a late rising. You're welcome. Oh, thank you. Hi, Moanne. Thank you all for being here. I hope that you lean into the opportunities. I hope that you surrender and give in to the expansion and the liberation. And again, even if something feels a little white-knuckled or if you have a ton of fixed just know this disruption is coming to bring you things that allow you to celebrate your more authentic self in a big way. I love you, know you love you. Leave me any comments. I welcome them, and thank you all for just being a part of this big community. I appreciate all of you.